Hey guys, it's M4J here and welcome back to the M4J network here on OpenTTD. We're back, another stream has come and gone, and today I am going to be adding trains again, once more to the network. And on the line of trains, I'm just wondering why I haven't done anything on the screen yet. I think I had a very long intro this week. On the line of trains, custom liveries, they are coming along. Let's put it that way. If you're a member of the Discord server, you will see I posted on Sunday night a picture of the Class 165 network turbos in M4J rail livery. That took me 3 hours to get to that stage. I was just testing how easy it was to recolor the existing sprites. The existing sprites, of course, were not made by me. They were made by the BR Trains team. So again, big thank you to them, not just for making the assets, but allowing me the freedom to use them as well. That's very much appreciated. But the livery itself is a bit convoluted. So it's based on the Network Southeast livery. You can kind of get that vibe. A couple of people already in the chat have said they get that vibe. That was the intention. And really it was, I went through all of the trains that are currently in use on the network, apart from the APT. I need to find that actually. I don't think it's in this pack. But I've gone through all the other ones. So the HST, the Class 91, all of the electric trains that we use, all of the diesel trains that we use, locos and multiple units, and even the Eurostar in GNER livery. And I tried to choose the BR variants of each of these liveries, the blue and grey. Some of them I've had to not do that. For example, the Class 91 never had a BR blue livery, so I had to use the Intercity one as a base. And yeah, I tried to standardise it as much as possible. And the idea originally would be you download a piece of software that's free to use called GIMP. Don't laugh at the name. It stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program, I think is what it stands for. And you could use the fill tool to repaint the train, basically. So you'll paint one pixel at a time. It takes like 10 minutes to do each vehicle, depending on how long the train is, I suppose. And that was the original plan. However, as I found out, originally I painted a Network Southeast 165 into the template colors that are currently available on my website. Then I tried to repaint the template train into M4J blue and red, and it didn't work because the color schemes ended up being too close together. And I spent like literally most of yesterday. I'm recording this on Monday. I spent most of yesterday, most of Sunday, on Google trying to find how to use GIMP or Photoshop to just recolor an object whilst keeping the shading. And the number of professional photographers I now know exist because of these tutorials that do not help me, but I imagine do help professional photographers. So they're not bad tutorials. But I just find it amazing that no one, like, they do all these tutorials saying it's really quick and simple to change the color of an object, but no one has asked the question, what if your object has more than one color? So, you know, I was watching one on how to change a balloon from red to purple, how to recolor a dress, how to change someone's skin tone, lots of things like that, none of which were helpful to me because it involved using the paintbrush tool. And I'm working with literal pixels here, and I can't use the paintbrush tool because it would just paint everything in one go. So I got a little bit frustrated there, and I was getting ready to give up. And then I suddenly remembered that I also play Football Manager. And in Football Manager, every 3 years or so, every 3 seasons in-game, I redesign the Hatfield Town kits. And the way I do that is there is a template that someone had very kindly made a couple of years ago now. And it basically has all the main variants of football kits. So you'll have like vertical stripes, horizontal hoops, you know, a single stripe down the middle, you know, bands around the arms, that kind of thing. And you can pick and choose from the template which designs you want to have, and then you can use the color overlay, I think it's called, in the blending options to force that layer to be that color. Or you can do what I do, which is add gradients. It works so well for Football Manager, and I can't believe I didn't think to use it for OpenTTD. The only issue with that is not everyone has Photoshop. So in a couple of instances, I might have to do it on behalf of someone. But now I've got 2 patrons. Thank you very much, both of you, for your continued support. I kind of felt like I had to work out how I was going to do these custom liveries. And the idea was to try and make it as easy for you guys to do as possible. So if you just want, a custom train in the game, even if you don't do it for every service, if you just do it for a single service, I wanted to make it so that you literally go on Photoshop or whatever program it might be, hit 3 or 4 buttons, and you're done. That's the plan. And I believe now, I now have the ability to do that. So what I'm going to do now for each template is choose, say, 3 variants of each design. So for the 165s, for example, I'll have the Network Southeast livery, I'll have the GWR green livery, and I'll have, let's say, the Chiltern, is it Clubman? Is that what they call it on the 165s? The white with the sort of Network Southeast inspired stripe down the side. And try and do that for as many different units as I can. And then the idea would be you come into Photoshop, I'll group all the colors into layers as well, so you guys won't have to worry about that. And then say, for example, you choose the Network Southeast livery. It's got a dark blue band across the middle where the windows are, and then it's got light blue either side of that, and then it's got red at the top and bottom. So let's say I group all the blues together, but then split it into... I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this. What I did for my livery was I created a new fill layer for each individual shade of blue, and then used transparency options to make it appear lighter than it actually was. The problem with that is you can kind of see the livery underneath, and I think if you actually zoom in on the image, you will be able to see it. Luckily, because it's pixel art, you don't get to zoom in that much before it becomes a bit of a hot mess to look at, so I kind of get away with it there. But yeah, you would come in, you would just click the eye tool next to different layers, decide which ones you want. If you want logos on the side as well, you can do that. You are able to still use the pencil tool to create custom assets if you wish. That's entirely up to you guys. But it would literally be a case of you choose which layers you want to be visible, and then you use the blending options to choose what color or what stroke or what pattern you want to appear in that section of the vehicle. So it's a few quick button clicks, a couple of color changes. There'll be abilities to put in your own hex codes, for example, if you want specific colors, or if you just want a nice shade of green, you'll be able to do that too. And then all you have to do is save it as a PNG and send it over to me, and I'll code it into the game, or get someone else to code it into the game. Likely the latter, because I still don't know how to do the coding side of it. That's a fun little game I'll be playing in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I'm really happy with the fact that I've now managed to crack this, because I did think it was a little bit janky, just sending you guys the sprites and saying, here's the new GRF sprite, use the paint tool, use the fill tool, don't come to me if it doesn't work, because I didn't know how to fix it. So yeah, in the next month, maybe, you'll start to see M4J branded trains appearing on the network. You'll also see the GWR units coming out. The other cool thing about this new system, modular system, is you can now make variants for different types of service. So this is an idea that George had for his franchise. If you want fast, slow, semi-fast, all in different colors, you can now do that. I do like the idea, not so much for other people's franchises, but for my own. Let's say I had a slow train painted in slow colors, but it had to move across to a faster service to cover that for a little bit. I do like the idea of not repainting it and just leaving it in its slow livery, because you do have that in real life. You have trains, for example, you currently have Virgin or LNER branded trains running from St Pancras up towards the Midlands. I like that because it's realistic. It really shows that these trains do just move from place to place. They loan them out. TOCs loan out trains to other companies from time to time. So that will be replicated. Again, not necessarily for other people's franchises, but definitely for M4J Rail. There will be trains in the wrong livery, shall we say, running in different parts of the country. But hopefully this is kind of an enticement to have more people become patrons. Again, I'm a bit blown away with how quickly this series has picked up again. I don't really know what changed, apart from me changing tactics slightly with what I did in episodes, and I suppose the return to streaming helped as well. But videos have suddenly gone from 10 views to 110 views again, which is awesome. And the sub count has kind of risen, but also dropped. I will say this, I'm not addressing anyone in particular here, but if you unsubscribe from my channel because I stopped making a video that you particularly enjoyed, chances are you are the reason that series stopped to begin with. So for example, it's been a couple of weeks since I made a City Skylines video. I have got footage recorded. I'm putting off on editing it right now because I need to work out why the game is running slow. Literally overnight it started running slow. takes about 20 minutes to load the save file now, and even in the game it freezes. Like, it's not just a frame rate issue, but the whole game sort of hangs for a few seconds. So I need to work out what's going on there. So I need to trim assets and stuff. And until I've done that, I don't really want to add more to the city, because I want to make a backup of the city as well. I do have backups taken over the course of it being built, but maybe it's a RAM issue, maybe it's a processor issue, who knows. But until I get all that fixed, I'm kind of holding off on the next episode. So it's not gone anywhere. The series hasn't ended, but I'm working on it. Basically, I'm working on it in the background. And I do still have this issue of people asking where a series is. I answer the question, and then they immediately, like 0.5 of a second later, they unsubscribe from my channel. I don't want those people, basically. If you are one of those people, you might as well just leave now, because I don't really want you watching my stuff. Because it's toxic. And I was having a conversation on Reddit with people about this last week. What's the worst thing on YouTube? And I basically said the best and worst thing on YouTube is your viewers. Because 1 minute they love what you're doing, and all it takes is for you to want to do something a little bit different, and they hate you for it. And the issue I have with my channel, and particular individuals, is my channel was always meant to be something that I enjoy. I have this thing in my life where if I don't enjoy something, I tend to switch off from doing it. School was a good example of that. I got bored at school a lot, so I stopped listening. And it kind of worked out, but I wouldn't recommend it. YouTube is the same for me. It was a hobby to begin with, and it for a long time yet, I imagine it will still be a hobby. But I want it to be successful, but I want it to be successful on my terms. And, I understand about metrics and SEO and things like that, but at the same time, I understand that if you don't enjoy it, it will never succeed. So my channel is an avenue for me to explore my interests and find other people who also like those interests. If you're an individual who just wants one thing from me, this probably isn't the channel for you, I'm afraid, because I do multiple things. I play multiple games. I'm not just a rail enthusiast, I'm a football fan. I'm also an F1 fan. So I play Football Manager, I play F1, I play Siege because I'm a big fan of that. And there are people who won't like all those games, and that's totally fine. But don't hold me to ransom over it, is what I'm saying. If you ask where City Skylines is, and I tell you it's in the works, it is genuinely in the works. I can show you the raw footage if you really, really want, so you can see what's coming up. But don't unsubscribe just because it's been 2 weeks since the last City Skylines video, because that's really not great, is it? Particularly as, in the past, I have had people ask where a video is, and I've, reworked my schedule to get that video out, and then that person doesn't watch it. So I stopped doing that now. I only record videos that I want to watch. And as much as I do listen to you guys and things like the viewer feedback, ultimately, if I'm not enjoying it, it's very obvious. So I'm trying to do things a little bit more my way now and seeing if they work. And thankfully, I do have a lot of people who watch my stuff who are okay with that and actually support that, and very, very what's the word? What am I doing on the screen here? Oh, I'm doing scheduled dispatch. So I was looking at the fact I had the timetable highlighted in the text box that kept coming up. Yeah, I was adding in the scheduled dispatch. I will talk about what's on the screen again in a second. But yeah, the channel is M4J for a reason. If I wanted to call the channel after you guys, I would. But then, one thing I would always say, particularly, and I apply this to my patrons as well, if you want to be my boss and you want to tell me what to do, you have to pay me $25 an hour, not $25 a month. And there are a lot of people who watch my stuff who don't seem to realize that what I do is free. I put my content out free to watch for all you guys. Even when I get monetized, some people immediately put paid content on their channels. And I am planning on doing that, but only with the Patreon videos. So those who are patrons can continue to watch it. Those who aren't patrons can pay a one-off fee and they have access to those videos too. Everything else is free. So, entitlement is something that is very prominent these days. And I think that's something that I really don't want to endorse here, because, as I said, it's free content. What you're watching is free. I'm not charging you a penny for it. So just bear that in mind before you comment asking where your favourite videos are. I do love the fact that you do enjoy those videos, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I would like to do my own things every now and then. because otherwise I'll just get bored and the videos won't be as good. Global Ventures is a good example of that. I have about 6 million ideas for what I want to do with that park, most of which I know I'll never be able to replicate because either game assets or my creative limitations, shall we say. But the series hasn't gone anywhere. It's just on a small hiatus while I focus on some other things for a bit. I think that's one thing I do like about this channel, is I can sort of dip and dive in and out of different games. So, you know, it's been a while since I did Siege, but now there's a new update coming to Siege. Whoops, I just turned my light on by mistake. Let me just shut my door because there's people walking around outside. Come on. Come on. My door is a real pain to shut. There we go. Yeah, there's a new update coming to Siege, so I'll be playing the game a lot more. Plus, there was a special game mode recently, which you saw in my video on, I want to say Friday, and I think it was Friday. Plus, Football Manager is something that I'm playing a lot more of now, mainly because, you know, football season has ended. So until the new one starts, I want to get my football fix. Plus, you know, the Hatfield save I'm doing this year is arguably the best one I've ever done. Whether you guys agree with that or not, I know not everyone is a football fan, but I do find this really strange on my channel. I seem to attract a lot of people who have singular interests, shall we say. So, I mean, me, personally, I admit that I have interests that are very different from one another. You know, there are a few football fans I know of who also like trains, or railways, I should say. I'm not really a train enthusiast. And there are, you know, lots of football fans I know who watch F1. But whenever I come here and I talk about it, and I learnt this from the viewer surveys as well, no one seems to like football here. And I find that really upsetting in many ways, because I love football. I love football so much, and I can talk for hours about football, far longer than I can talk about railways. And the really upsetting one is no one here likes theme parks, and that's the big one for me, because, you know, roller coasters is my passion. That's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. It's the reason I went to university, was to become a roller coaster designer, or at least a theme park designer. That kind of didn't work out, but you never know. There's still always a back door into Imagineering, for example. So yeah, I want to talk about those things a lot more. So I use my videos as an avenue to do that, because I'm the only one in my family who likes F1 to the extent that I do. I'm starting to get my brother interested in it, but even then I can tell he's sort of yawning internally when I'm talking to him about it. And football, you know, my family do like football, but again, I have this encyclopedic knowledge of football and no one to share it with. And the big one for me is theme parks and railways, because I do like talking about railways, don't get me wrong. But I'm kind of a fish out of water when it comes to that, because no one here wants to listen. So I make these videos so I can just talk about what's on my mind regarding all these different subjects. And that's, again, what the channel was all about originally, was attracting people to come in and talk about their interests. Whether we all share them or not is irrelevant. It's just the fact that, you know, the reason my Discord has so many text channels is because there's so many different things that we can be talking about. Whether it's the M4J network and talking about the latest HS2 news, or whether it's Global Ventures and talking about how theme parks are only just starting to reopen after the lockdown, or whether it's, you know, Football Manager and we're talking about how Man United got knocked out of the Europa League last night. There's lots of different things that we could be talking about here, and that's the real sort of community spirit that I would like to endorse. And I will say again, in fairness, the M4J network chat is very, very busy right now, and I really like that. So thank you everyone who's helped make that what it is. We've got some really cool people on there doing some really cool things. And I realised talking about this in an OpenTTD video is probably not the best idea, but it would be nice to get the other chats a little bit more active as well. But that's something I'll be working on sort of in my own time, I suppose. Right, let's talk about what's on screen right now. So the Bahecity Connect franchise used to run to the north and to the south out of Bahecity, but a couple of weeks ago I built this line that you can see on screen right now, which is the East Coast main line between Gronwell Superior and Winnington Tranquility, and it runs via Suam Milia, which is where it originally ran to until a couple of weeks ago. Now that this line was complete, I wanted to extend the Bahecity Connect franchise up onto the new main line. So out of Winnington there is now an all-stopper service that runs up to Kingston Y, which is the junction where the East Coast splits into the north and south. And then there's a semi-fast service that runs up as far north as Suam. Although I do wonder Time-wise, it doesn't take too long to do the journey, but I do wonder if distance-wise it's perhaps too far to be considered a commuter railway. But I guess it can still be part of the Connect franchise. I would liken it to Thameslink trains running as far as Peterborough and Cambridge, because they're quite a long way out of London. I think it's 70 miles to Peterborough, give or take, something like that. But yeah, these two services are now running. I'm very pleased to say that, having tested them a lot over the last few days, I had one issue, which is the test train, which you can see up in the top left of the screen, was 2 Deltics and 4 Mark 1 carriages. Because of the way I had that going in and out of the depot, it actually got clogged and blocked the whole line for a while. It took me about 6 hours to notice that had happened, but when I fixed it, it all went back to normality again. So the franchise works. The Bahecity Connect franchise works very, very well. And, excuse me, I got hiccups. Bahecity Central is a very busy station now. And it's going to get a little bit busier in the future, because I'm going to be running more high-speed trains now. This has all been made possible thanks to the new signal speed limit system that's been implemented into the game, which means I don't have to worry about using waypoints as much anymore. Waypoints are now wayfinding tools again, rather than wayfinding and speed limit control. There are still some sections where it is speed limit control, particularly in and out of Bahecity. I'm actually okay with that for the time being, because I think programming signals, like the waypoints, would stay because they're still used for route finding, like I said, but trying to program signals to control train movements when all trains are running on the same stretch of line for quite a long time, it's going to be quite tricky. So I might keep the waypoints there and then just swap them out once you get north of the city. But I really love this new system. The express train that you see me add at the end of the video that runs between Gronwell and Bahecity, that took 15-20 minutes, I think, to get running, whereas in the past it would have taken about, close to 2 hours with all the waypoints and everything. Plus, I don't have to spend 3-4 hours of my life going through the route, naming waypoints, putting it all on a speed limit sheet. I will still keep the speed limit sheets, because just because the waypoints aren't there anymore doesn't mean the signals aren't there. And the great thing about this new system is, if we kept it with the waypoints, then when people came onto the game to run their own franchises, I'll talk about that again in a second, they would have to then set up the speed limits accurately for each waypoint, which is why the speed limit sheets were created. But if I do it all through the signals, I can still keep track of how fast trains are running, and I can have like slow line speed limit, fast line speed limit, so people can refer to that when they're setting up their routes. But the fact that it's now done in-game rather than by player means, again, people can find it a lot more user-friendly now when they come on and actually start adding their own services in. So with that in mind, Patreon, it's been quiet, Patreon, let's put it that way, but I do now have 2 Patreon supporters now, patrons. And one of the tier rewards, depending on how much you pledge per month, $1 per month gets you all of the Patreon-only access to the videos and the Discord chat and things like that, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But depending on what size franchise you unlock, according to what tier you reach, you have access to adding your own services. And by that I mean, I will turn the M4J network into an online game, a 24-hour server. You'll be able to come on, run your own trains, add new ones. If you have bus companies or ship companies, or if you have your own airport as well, you can come on and do all of that yourself without me having to get involved. Now there is an element of trust involved there, that you guys behave and don't troll other players and things like that. I think I will turn it off so that you can't build any infrastructure apart from, let's say, bus stops and truck stops, but anything else, maybe docks as well. But the idea is M4J Transport, which is my company, would be the parent company. Not parent company. It'd be like a network rail, essentially. A network rail, a highways agency, British Airport Authority, I think BAA stands for, and whatever the water one is, I don't know. No idea. But like with the network rail one, network rail in the UK owns most of, if not all of the main lines, and operating companies pay a track access charge. The exceptions to that are, I think, the overground in places pays access fees to London Underground, I think, or London TfL. I think that's how it works. Can't remember off the top of my head. But that's the idea. So I would own all of the infrastructure, and then you guys come on, you run your trains, and all you have to do is pay a track access charge every time your train uses my track, which is pretty much all the time. There will be things like heritage lines that will exist as well. Whether or not those are owned by patrons or whether or not those are owned by me, I haven't decided yet. I think a little bit of both would be cool. Don't know how easy that would be to implement, but we'll see. But yeah, basically I want you guys to take the work off my shoulders. So I will still have M4J Rail. That will own all of the franchises that are not claimed by patrons. But the more patrons we have, the more franchises we'll have, and the more fun it will be for all of us. And you would get the chance to play on an OpenTTD server. And like I said, it'll be a 24/7 one, so you won't just have to wait for me to be online. I'll try and make it so that it runs all night and all day. I think I can tweak the AI, so if you log off for whatever reason, whether it's to go to bed, which apparently some of us have to do, or whether it's, you've got other commitments going on, the AI will just continue to run what you've already got and won't try and add new trains or build new routes or anything like that. I think there's a way to do that. I'm not 100% sure, but I want to make it so that your companies don't go bust just because you're not online. So again, I'll be there monitoring things most of the time, and if it looks like a company's about to go bust, there is an option in the game to allow players to gift money to other players. So I'll basically be the bailout, and I think it'll be, not even a loan, it'll just be a literal bailout. So I'll give you the money so that your company can continue running, but that will only apply when you're not in the game. If you are in the game and you're running your company badly, I'm afraid that's tough luck, and we'll have to come up with an alternative. Because again, I don't want to boot people out of the game because you've paid money, real money, to be able to play the game. But I also don't want to just reward people for not running their companies particularly responsibly. That's a bridge I think we'll have to cross when we come to it, because that could be a long ways off yet before we get to that stage. Right, what else is there to talk about? There's a little thing to do with HS2 and its roots. I was watching a David Frankel video last night with Gareth Dennis where they were talking about it, and I'm tired. I'm so tired of High Speed 2 now. I think they should just build it and shut up about it. Just get on with it. I've only got 3 minutes left of this video, so I won't talk too much about it, but basically the route map that I saw in that video I don't agree with. I think there's too many junctions still, and there's unnecessary junctions. Like, there was a line in the video that said there's this particular service that's going to run via crew just so that this junction is justified. Sorry, no, not crew, Chesterfield I think it was. Just so this junction is justified. And I thought, don't build the junction. If you're only running one train to justify the existence of the junction, you probably shouldn't build the junction. That's the easiest solution to that problem. Don't build the junction. So that's pretty much where I stand on this now. Plus, some of the arguments against High Speed 2 are just ridiculous. Things like it'll take 120 years to be carbon neutral. There was a guy in the comments that mentioned that and said, why not spend the money elsewhere, like extending the A1, upgrading the A1 and upgrading the M6 and things like that. How's getting more people in cars a solution to an environmental issue? Don't know. Don't know. I'd love to know that guy's logic, although he would probably kill me with stupidity. Plus, again, the environmental thing of it might take 120 years to become carbon neutral, but if you consider how many trucks would come off the road because more freight trains can run on the West Coast Main Line, and how many buses won't need to run and how many coaches won't need to run because of these high capacity trains, I reckon it will take 50 to 75 years to become carbon neutral once you work all that out, give or take. Plus, that can then be the catalyst for electrifying more of the main line off of the high-speed network, which can then mean less diesel locos or diesel multiple units, and that then can also contribute to the becoming carbon neutral. As Gareth Dennis pointed out in that video, people in Aberystwyth are going to benefit from High Speed 2, even though High Speed 2 runs nowhere near Aberystwyth. And that's the bigger picture that people are failing to see right now, is it's not just London, Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, it's all the local areas around those hubs, and also 100 miles away from there an extra train might be able to run into the big cities. It will help keep people moving. That's the main thing. Right, I'm not going to rant about it any longer. I'm going to start wrapping up the video now. Thank you very much everybody for watching. You can see me working on this express train in the background here. I actually do like the intercity livery. I might sort of swap the black for M4J blue maybe, and see how easy that'll be to do. Who knows? But yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on the custom liveries and how they're coming along. If anyone wishes to help me with that, of course, that's always appreciated. But besides that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series, drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. I am looking for ideas now, so any are appreciated. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. And until next time, I will see you soon.